best races yet. I mean, baby steps. Yep. Good weekend by all, I think.
To be in a race car, period, is a great experience, just from even seat belting to starting the engine. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just saying that right there. It is something I've always wanted to do, and I enjoy doing it. I started racing in my early 20s. I actually got thrown into a powder puff car for my first time, and it was a great experience. It was with all other, young girls to my age. And the first time was very scary, and I pretty much got off the track crying.
I went to one race, I remember, at the time, and she was quite the racer. It's kind of a lot of the way we were growing up, and a lot of the different things that we would do. But she would put a lot of pressure on all the other ones out there, and it really did a great job.
When you were about 22, and you had a friend, and you got involved at Raceway Park in Blue Island, and you were in what they call the Powder Puff Derby, and John and I went to watch you one time, and it's like, wow, she finally found her glitch in life, She gets to drive cars, and she gets to drive them fast, and she gets to run women off the road, and she kind of kicked butt.
And her aggressiveness showed up because as long as they raced and nobody pushed her or gave her trouble, she just raced and did the best she could. Somebody gave her trouble and pushed her, I'll swear that she pushed them in a wall. She was aggressive. She was aggressive. Well, Mickey always was a go-go girl. When she was like 5 years old, during the winter, I remember one time she went in the house and she put on her ice skates. And I thought, what the heck is she doing? And she went outside on our driveway and she just skated on the driveway. I mean, she just went out on the driveway all on her own and skated out there and had a ball. She just loved it.
We had a very large property that I grew up on, and we had a tractor, and we always had to compete against who got to cut the grass. And once we reached a certain age, right around age 12, I believe, is when Dad released us to cut grass. And once I got to that age 12, I wasn't going to let her get that opportunity. But so it's kind of a funny thing that she would fight to cut the grass. But it was fun cutting the grass because it was old International Harvester Cup Cadet.
Well, she had a bike, and she would always ride that fast too. In fact, funny thing, she and my brother Billy, the same one that follows the NASCAR and everything, they were out riding their bikes, and I'm sure they were racing. And
I'm going to just cut her off. I figured I could just cut into her, maybe just bump her off the road a little bit, and then I would win. Well, it didn't quite work that way. As our bikes connected, we ended up wiping out.
He's crying his eyes out. The paramedics come there. The paramedics are taking care of this little boy who's crying and crying and crying and crying. He's twice as big as Mickey. He's crying and crying and crying.
I think I might have cut my leg and brushed some of the blood onto my head somewhere. So everybody thought that I was bleeding from the head, so everybody was coming to me to take care of me.
And finally, after they get him settled down and taken care of, they asked Mickey, "Are you all right, honey?" And she says, "I can't move my leg."
And Mickey just lay there just like, "Hey, I'm hurt too."
She had broken her kneecap. Her kneecap was broken. And she didn't cry, she didn't whimper, she didn't pout. I mean, she was very tough.
And then it was a while before they went over and took care of her, and the entire time she had a broken leg right at her knee.
So we took her to the doctor, and the doctor had to put a screw in her kneecap. He put a screw in the kneecap, and it stayed like that for about 2 months.
A Christmas gift from my bosses, because they knew I wanted to be a race car driver. They bought me the week experience at Richard Petty in Las Vegas. So I went out there for the week, and of course, here's me. Oh, they're gonna notice me. So I end up passing the class. I did good. I learned a lot, and I realized I need to learn a lot more. And we came across Competition 101 Racing School. So we contacted Stuart Lissette, he's like, yeah, everybody wants to be a race car driver. And then I personally talked to him and said, he recommended a program that he does for 3 days. And he pretty much is, the same thing, school, and you're on the track time. And if you proceed or pass, then he'll actually put you in a race at Orland Park. So it was actually was at DeSoto Speedway, Super Speedway, and I did the class and wasn't up to speed, but the second day when I had to pull it off, I got up to speed, and then they got me all excited. They're like, "What you think we're gonna do it?" And then the next time I went out, it was my last try, and I went out there, and I was so excited, I ended up crashing the car.
I remember one time, and I don't know if it was a race we were at or anything, but she had won, and she's holding her trophy, and I don't know if they were doing a courtesy or a winner or champion circle around the track, but she's like leaning out. She's got her trophy out the window, and she's like leaning her head out the window, and then there's Mickey, that's my baby sister.
That was really cool. I was so proud to see her out on the track, and I could see the other competitors out there. I don't know if they didn't like the fact that there was a girl doing better than them, but I was really proud of her for that, because it's something that she's really strived for a long time, and she was out there doing a great job in that race.
Well, Mickey is in the men's league, of course, and the men do not like Mickey to be in a race. I mean, it shows up in a lot of the races because they have bumped her out on purpose, they have smashed into her on purpose.
I've had incidents where other guys took other drivers out, and it happens very fast, and not all the time, but a lot of times you can read where the car is gonna go, and you gotta react like that. And then there's other times you read it, and boom, oops, that didn't work. You get taken out too. But pretty much overall, in the beginning was worse. Now I've gotten to the point where I've proven myself I can drive. And I love when the guys tell me that guys will come up and then to meet the driver. They want to meet him, and then it's her. I do my best on doing an hour every day of something. And that's either bike riding, walking, going to the club, kickboxing, and I'm gonna start getting into yoga. Some days I'll do more. When I'm really energetic, I'll do 2.5 hours. But like I say, and I watch what I eat. There's some days, I'm not gonna lie, I'll cheat. No, you gotta have your cheeseburger every once in a while, or your French fries. But I don't eat them on a daily basis. But my biggest thing is to try to do at least an hour every day of something. In my way, I like to volunteer and do things. My dog is being trained to be a therapy dog, and he's only 4.5 pounds. But little kids dying of cancer need that smile, and that's one way that I think I can do something. Actually, my dog will be doing it, but I feel his calling for it.
I'm a lieutenant on the fire department that we grew up in, the town that we grew up in, and so I get to speed now and then. But I have my lights and my sirens going too. We have to be careful on the roads, but so I have that feeling of speed also. Not as fast as she gets to go on an actual track, but someday I'll get there out with her.
My mother always was very positive reinforce of everything on me in life, as everything on day to day and this and that. And she collected Yajos and precious moments. And I lost my mother in '85 to cancer, but one of her last gifts that she gave me was a precious moment race car driver. And I don't know if it was a boy or girl, I think it was a boy, holding a winner's trophy with the little bird on the top of the flag. And she said, "This is you, and this is your dream. Follow your heart, don't give up, pursue it, because this is you." She was a very big supporter, and pursued, and I'll just will always remember that. And I feel her up from up there. I know she's on my side.
Yeah, I stayed out. I just kept going around because the track's different. I mean, it's really a lot shorter than last time.
My support system is support, I guess it'd be Competition 101, Stuart Lissette, this year with Danny, a few other guys that I have. They're very important to me, boosting me up, talking to me, getting me all fired up, giving me my goals to set, and hopefully it's I try to always do my best in the car, but I know I don't, but I learn, and I am my worst enemy, because it just pisses me off, because you're out there and you're done. And then you gotta wait till the next time.
What we did is we trained her in car drifting and in drift cars. We put her on dirt track cars so that she would be able to learn how to control the cars from that perspective.
Dirt, there's really no control. I try to do my best to drive the car. The faster you drive the car, the better control you have. I'm still trying to overcome that.
Then from there we moved her to road racing, which in and of itself is a whole new set of driving skills, and she has been able to develop those, I think, relatively quickly. And there's again a finesse aggression where you're not always up on top of somebody, but it's very important how you get through the corners, and she does very well at that. So we've actually chose to train her, to bring her through several different aspects of racing to find the type of racing that fits her best.
The thing about racing is it's a team effort. You have your crew that puts the car together to make sure that's everything there. Then you have the driver, and there's a lot of everything input. They always want me to push the car in practice and practice, so I can come back where they can see, they can watch.
At Daytona, we watched our car come off the banking and down the straightaway and visibly lose speed. So we made a change to the aerodynamics of the race car and laid the spoiler down, and you could visibly watch the car continue to accelerate off the corner. And even the driver feedback said, man, I could really feel a difference in that.
Do I have a favorite car in racing? Yes, I think I do. I love my 06 or 6, depending on what they make me make, but it's usually 06. It's a Ford Fusion SPO. Very powerful horsepower. I believe it's like 675. It's a Hooters Cup car. Herbie Cope did the detailing on it, and I went in his office and we put it together, and it's just I call it Quasar. It's my boy. The guys always have their girl cars. Well, it's my girl car, but he's named Quasar.
And the reason we use the Cup-style cars, in particular for Mickey, is that we do go to tracks that we can achieve speeds close to or perhaps over 200 miles an hour.
It's actually like a NASCAR car. But it's when I first sat in it in the beginning, I was like, holy cow. It's really big, wide open, because I went from open wheel car where you're boxed in, and then you get in this car and, the shifter. But we made different arrangements so it would fit me, because I couldn't even see over the windshield.
Mickey's blue car, her Cup-style car, is in fact, we use the term Cup style because the chassis is all based off of the current Sprint Cup cars. If you were to put a current Sprint Cup body on it, you wouldn't know the difference from her blue car to an actual Sprint Cup car at this point. All the chassis are all identical. All the suspension points are all identical. It is pretty much just a little bit older Sprint Cup car. And again, we use those for safety because we do achieve speeds and can achieve speeds of excess of 200 miles an hour.
I have a telemetry system that has a speedometer, tells me my lap speeds and this and that, but they point it away from me because one time I happened to see how fast I was going and I literally slowed down. So they decided to turn it so I can't see it anymore and just go faster.
Setups change every track. Even when you go back, the setup that set fast time there last time won't be fast this time. You may not even make the race. It has changed so much. And proof positive of that, almost every time we go with something different.
Well, there's so many different adjustments on these cars from the front end and the suspension standpoint that you can be literally a 1/16 of an inch off. And that could be the difference between first and last place.
There are goals that we set out for the year and for each race. As a team, we do them, and as a driver. Each track, each car, each race, we talk about what we want to do, where they want me to finish, and it's pretty much we try to improve each race.
Seeing a student come out of a car that comes out with that bing light bulb, like, wow, I didn't know that, and now I do. And for us to be able to bring a student to that point, I think that's really when we get a kick out of it.
Right. They get out pale-faced and shaking because they didn't think they could ever do that or achieve that goal, and you've given them the race car to do that in. It's a gratifying feeling just to see how much passion they didn't realize maybe they even had.
I'm very fortunate, I'm very thankful to have FanRag sponsor me, your source for sports.
We've decided to get involved in a lot of different sports, among which is NASCAR. A lot of websites don't really cover road racing and oval track racing. We do, and as a result, we thought it would be an interesting story to have Mickey and her story involved with FanRag. It gives us a chance to get exposure with FanRag at the track, and it gives Mickey a chance to be on a website and featured on a website.
It's more raw too. I mean, these drivers are driving because they want to get somewhere too.
Oh, exactly. These people are out there in trailers, and your crew chief is also your cousin, and the guy that works on your engine changes your tires. This is the down and dirty racing that a lot of people in the South, Florida, Georgia, and South and North Carolina, where racing is big, they know this is a way of life for a lot of people.
This is yeah.
Yep.
They've been very supportive of me as I'm being supportive of them. They are on my car. They're one of my biggest sponsors. And I hope together that we can grow together and continue to hope to keep them happy. We're a big, we work very well together, and I'm very fortunate and thankful to have them on my team.
We don't come up with a strategy until we get to the track. The overall strategy that I have done in training Mickey is before we go to a track that is an important race, I try to get to her there a couple months beforehand on a minor race or a different sanctioning body that the points don't matter, so that she can get some experience in that. I try to make one adjustment to her at a time, be it a car or a track. So if there's a car she's familiar with, she'll go to the track for the first time. Or if it's a car that she's going to be driving the first time, she's going to go to a track that she's familiar with. Right, I push hard, and then Danny blows kisses.
Not really.
It would be a case of good cop, bad cop sometimes, or you can't necessarily say good crew chief, bad crew chief, because that's not really a term you want to use. But Mickey and I work very well together, and I find what will motivate her and take her focus away from the nervous energy and try to refocus that to positive, energetic. You can do this, you've got this, the guy in front of you, You spanked him the last time we were here. You're going to do it again. You're going to lap him. And then 9 times out of 10, she'll come out and do that.
You know, I think it's a camaraderie. I mean, we enjoy each other. I mean, Danny comes over. Actually, Mickey, we all had Thanksgiving dinner together. It's almost like a family.
It is.
It is a family. All of racing, pretty much for the most part, is a family. And, you know, you're going to disagree with family. You're going to get along with family. You're going to laugh with family. You're going to want to slap family.
You know,
we've all had those points where we've driven each other to that point, but that's what makes us...
We haven't technically hit each other yet, but maybe.
That's what makes us
We're getting
good.
closer.
That's what makes us good at what we do. We get the most out of each other that we possibly can. Each person has their own way to be motivated.
Right.
And Stuart finds a way to motivate me. I'll find a way to motivate her. She'll find a way to motivate him, which will in turn come back to me.
Now, technically, you know, men aren't allowed to hit girls. Okay? No. But on the track, I'm not so sure that actually that still counts.
I've gotten hit a lot on the track. I have. I didn't deserve it either.
So ask the second place driver, inside or outside, I need you to make a choice. As soon as I ask you, so we get everybody else lined up, we'll turn the lights out and go racing next time by.
I'm out of the groove. I lost the feeling, and I just got to get it back.
On my good days, I'm really good, you know, and then when I hate to say it, I'm human. I have my off days, and it does happen. But there are times where I don't feel comfortable. I've learned this. I don't go against what anybody else tells me. Being the driver, you are in charge. The feeling I get when I know I'm going to be racing or just in the race car is I can't even. Racing at Daytona was a great experience just because of the nostalgia of the track. The first time I raced there, it's funny, I went out for practice and I was kind of just oohing and on. I felt like I was a tourist, you know, at Chicago looking up at the John Hancock building. And when I came in, Stuart and the guys are like, "What were you doing out there?" And I was like, the feeling, I couldn't even tell you the feeling that it was to be on the track driving, you know, and I was like looking at all the, you know, skid marks going in that wall, and then to feel the depth, and, you know, to be driving at the high point of the wall and not sliding down because that depth, or the banking on that track. The speed I'm hitting at Daytona, I know that I have a telemetry system in my car. And afterwards, it's like when I'm coming in turn 3, I hit about 148, and they can see me stag. And then I pursue on to 168. My top speed there was 184. But it's funny, you have to get comfortable, but they say that there's something in my mind that, because I don't see how fast I'm going, but they say that when I feel that 148, I hesitate. What I've learned too is that to drive at that speed, you have to feel comfortable. And that's why my baby steps have taken me a long way, and it's the comfort and the trust of my equipment that I have with me.
Daytona's a pretty intimidating track. It's the fastest track that we run. The car can achieve 200 miles an hour. In fact, the record for our division, for our particular class, I think is 209 at the Tri-Oval. What we have found at that track is, through data acquisition, that Mickey is pretty conservative. Understandably. I mean, she has a magic number of about 160 or 70 miles an hour that she feels comfortable at. Now, we know that the car can achieve, or should be achieving, greater speed than that. So what our job is, particularly for that track, and which is what we've been doing by altering aerodynamics of the car, is trying to help her feel more comfortable at a higher speed.
My experience racing at Homestead, Miami, it's another, nostalgia track, racetrack. It is very comparable, to me for the road track. It's pretty, comparable to my experience at Daytona, but the banking is not as high. It's more narrower, but it's pretty much the same kind of track. Every time we're there, though, we seem to get rained out for some reason, so I don't really get my full experience of racing there. When I was there this year, my most experiences, we did have a good day the one day, but the next day it was gonna rain and they threw rain tires, so I was prepared, but it didn't rain, so you can't really road race in rain tires when it's not raining. It's not good. But I did finish. We did have a good weekend. The difference between Daytona and Homestead, in my opinion, is the track at Homestead is a little narrow and the banking's not as high. There's a little bit more bumps and grind. It's an older track, and like I've said, I've had more experience at Daytona than I have Homestead, so I feel more comfortable at Daytona. But I know over more practice, like every time you're on a track, and the races that I've had at Homestead just have, I've been rained out, so I've been there, but haven't been able to get the time on the track.
Homestead hosts the end of the year Ford 400 Championship weekend for the Sprint Cup Series, the Nationwide Series, and the Camping World Truck Series, along with a couple of other series. They have an excellent dedicated road course down through the infield around their small lake that they have in the back, and it has some banking and it has long straightaways. And the characteristics of Homestead are a little different than most of our tracks because they have banking in the corners, but you cannot run it wide open like you can at Daytona. And the straightaways in the infield are longer and the corners are just a little bit tighter. So for Mickey's blue car, her heavier car, it's a little bit more tricky for her to navigate Homestead than it is like Daytona or Sebring or any of the other tracks because of having to stop it so many different times. And the track will get greasy, and it always is hot in South Florida. Rain chances come up immediately out of nowhere, and we have to be ready in a moment's notice to throw rain tires on and get right back out.
Part of my schedule was to race at East Bay in Tampa this year in a open wheel modified dirt. We had the car built, we actually picked it up, I believe, in May, and it was built by David Ruderman. There been, with my schedule with road racing, we were gonna build in about 10 to 15 races in an open wheel modified dirt car. I was not used to being on the dirt, and dirt is, it's very thrilling, but it's also confident and comfort, and I just did not feel comfortable in the car or on the track, so I decided to pull off was a smart thing. And it does help me, it helps me be more positive of control because I'm out of control most of the time, so.
The East Bay race, that's a track that Mickey almost won a championship there in a lesser division. She's run a couple years there. Last year, she ran one of our modifieds there, and she did very well. She ran fifth overall in the class, and a very competitive fifth. It wasn't even, any fallback. We built our new cars for this year, and we really had limited practice time. She just couldn't get a rhythm together, and unfortunately, it was not one of our better nights.
Racing at Road Atlanta it's a great experience. From being the first time I was on that track, it scared me, and I came flying over the one hill. You go underneath the bridge, and they tell you to look at the color of the flag, and I had the wrong color, I guess, and I went flying over the hill, and there's a pit entrance on one side and one on the other side. I just flew in the pit, and I said, keep going. I went right to my pit, and I had enough. I was so scared, and it was crazy. All these drivers out there that know the track. I was probably more dangerous to anybody out there, but I have to, learn that track and just keep going out, and then you get tips from people At one area, you can't see, but you learn that the track goes this way, not that way, because another first experience is there's a motorcycle course, and I didn't know where I was going, and I started on the motorcycle course, and it's like, no, you gotta go this way, and I just went flying through the grass, hopefully I'll get back on the road, and I did.
Our last road race of the year was actually a pretty important race. We were in the hunt. We were actually leading points for the V8 Stock Car Championship. It's a track that we had taken Mickey to starting last November at the same event so that we could get her up to speed. It's a very difficult track. It's a very traditional European-style road course. There are a lot of elevation changes, and it can be very unnerving because you can be traveling at 100+ miles an hour, going over a knoll, and you cannot see over the other side, and then the track turns. So it's really a very technical track, and Mickey has grown quite well in developing her skill level at that track. That this particular weekend, there was a lot on the line.
I had just won the SCCA championship for SPO. I just won the SARC SPO, SPO championship for the year. I had a chance to, I was in the running points for the V8 stock car. And I was in a position to take it if I didn't mess up. And I finished the race.
She ended up second in the championship, which is still excellent. She's the only woman ever to lead the SPO division of the V8 Stock Car Club, and to run it down to the last event, I thought was an excellent accomplishment for her.
I'm still this hill. It scares everybody because it's like you're coming out, all you have is markings on the wall, and you just boom, drop down.
We did a lot this year. 2 champions alone in 1 year is very hard to succeed. Second place, you can't say, And my thing is, you guys know, you were there, but
second place doesn't suck.
No, I know, but it's first last.
You have to really work and persevere through the year. You can't just go win, run, race and call myself the champion. You really have to work hard. Your team has to work hard. You have to drive hard and keep your concentration level up throughout the year. You can't just slack off. You can't miss an event. You got to be to all of them, and you got to work hard at it.
I just want to show you something that's very exciting for me. I got my official Pro Trans Am driver hard card, which means I'm officially. I'm all excited now, but I just wanted to show it to you. It's a whole pro license now. Yeah, whole different league than my SCCA.
I met Mickey here about 5 years ago when she was racing mini stocks, and I watched her grow in that class. She was not as good as she is now, of course, but back then she was learning the dirt racing. She was learning everything about racing. So she really didn't know what she knows today.
The first time I raced against Mickey, it was about 2008, I remember. And she was learning just like everybody else, and we had a lot of fun. She was stiff competition every week. So, I mean, it was pretty fun.
Well, there's quite a few women in the sport right now. There's a lot more women today than there was 10 years ago, and there's a lot more women 5 years ago than there was 10 years ago. So, I mean, there's a lot more women. There's women, girls driving in sprint car things over there, and there's a girl driving a mini stock class that she came out of. There's a young girl right in front of us. She drives a mini stock, the same class Mickey came out of.
Well, she improved, and I mean, just by the fact that her driving technique got better, she could hold her line, other things like that, which is something you learn over the time anyway. So she's doing a good job.
Yeah, women do just as good a job as men do on the racetrack. I mean, Courtney Force, she was won NHRA drag racing, and Mickey's won mini stock races here on the dirt. So I don't see no difference as long as they can do it.
It's been awesome, yeah. We went to Daytona a couple weeks ago. Watched her do her work, man. It was awesome. Mickey Wright's awesome. You know,
representing tonight.
Where else you get this much personality in a race car driver right here?
I'm very thankful, and I hope I keep my fans proud. I love the fans that I have. I'm hoping to make them happier. We're building a webpage. We're trying to make it more easier for you to stay in contact. It was totally. I used to be the cowboy, right?
Yeah.
Everybody can race a car, you know? All you do is go around in a circle. Well, there's a lot to driving a race car, a lot, and I'm still learning. I've learned, probably this was my biggest growing year, and I know I still can grow another 10 more years. I can't thank my family enough for supporting me and feeling their love from far away. I love them all very, very much. I miss them. I love my dad. I love Marge. Everybody. You know who you are. I can name you all, but I think they get tired of hearing all the names. But thank you for support, and I do miss you guys truly. And I love you.
And Mickey chose to do this. Our family supports her wholeheartedly. This is what she wants to do, fine. She's had a career. She's been in shopping centers and construction and things like that. This is what she wants to do. We're behind her 100%.
And the transfer now into the Trans Am 2 car, as Danny explained earlier, that the cars are different. There's 600 pounds difference in weight, and she was learning how to drive. There's a difference in visibility too. You sit deeper in the car. It's harder to see off the right front in particular.
That one spot ahead of you.
Well, I didn't even think did he start?
Yeah.
Okay, because he came.
He was almost half a track down when you guys had started.
That's why I don't understand how when he caught me, it pissed me off actually.
He and that red car both started half a track down.
Yeah. Then they came flying.
Well, when we were running, what were you doing when I was running? Did you try to follow me?
Yeah, I was trying to catch you. You're in the group ahead of me.
There are some guys that, they'll give me a look or, come over to me, and it's some of them is for fun, like, I got you, or, I'll do it back to them, or certain comments are intimidating. And like I say, it all depends on how I'm feeling that day, how I take it. I can take it laughingly, or I can take it like, oh, why'd you just do that to me? And he got in my head, so.
And definitely there is a thing where the men are not too happy. And she loves to make it difficult for the men. She loves that.
When I first started racing, I had these songs that I would, race to, but I've changed because I can't concentrate on a song. I have to think I have to be on my game. I can't even look. If I'm paying attention to a plane over there, that means I'm not on my track. So, and it's happened. And they see me. What were you doing? Oh, didn't you see the helicopter? Well, you're not supposed to be paying attention to it. I know, but it was pretty low. And that's where I'm not on my game. I have to be focused on the track and what's ahead of me. If I'm out there or noticing any other thing or somebody in the stand, I'm not truly focused.
She had tough competition all year that she had to face through the South Atlantic region. That goes through 2 different states, I believe. Competition levels differ every track we go to. We're seeing a different group of drivers, so it's hard to obtain your strategy to beat different groups everywhere you go. And she adjusted and adapted each time and was able to come up with the best finish we could come up with. And really put the car up front and show people that she has the ability, when she wants to really outrun them.
And the SARC Championship in particular is more impressive because they only take your 6 best races. So you can run a dozen races, and everybody can run a dozen races. They only take your 6 best. And her 6 best were better than anybody else's 6 best.
All tracks are different, you know, and there's certain things that I want to accomplish. This year I wanted to accomplish, and you know, I get all worked up, and I can't do that. I got to overcome that.
Well, I mean, there was an example one time where she pulled in the track pulled off the track because the windshield was vibrating in the car. And she was scared, and she pulls in and parks the car. She said, the windshield's vibrating. And I'm looking at her, and you're like, yeah, so what? I mean, I want to vibrate until the windshield blows out of the car. Go, that means you're going fast. Get out there and go. You know,
well, that fast scared me, though, because I was like, I could just see the windshield blowing in on me, you know, me getting hurt.
Well, it wasn't going to happen.
But he's taught me something different. Let it all come off. Now, that one day when the flap was up, I was like, I just kept going, and it, you know.
And I tell her now, you drive the car, try to break it, drive the wheels off of it, is what I want her to do. And she's learning how to do that more and more. One thing Danny has said, I think what gives us the most satisfaction is a wheelman, is we put our blood, souls into these cars, and all we want to see is somebody wheel it, and wheel it hard.